Well, welcome to our Strange Times devotional. I'm Pastor Kevin. We are up here in Northwest Minnesota. I am pastor of First Lutheran in Middle River and Our Saviors of Thief Lake. Now, we do this as part of my ministry for our two churches. So I'd like to welcome the members of my churches, and I'd like to welcome all of you who have found us on the internet. So what we try to do is we try to navigate our weird times, right? And the reason why we call it that is because I think initially we were thinking that this is just awful. Everything that's happened in 2020 is just awful. But the truth of the matter is it's just different. See, we would have done this in person. And so many of you who are watching me would have never seen me. So that alone shows us a little bit about how things are just different and not the same as they were in the past. Now, today, I think it's been a heavy week for many of us, maybe a heavy 2 weeks. And I'll get into that in a little bit. So, this is what I thought would be helpful for this week. And I think it's going to be a lot of work to do it every day. So, what I'm going to do is we're going to read the entire Serenity prayer. Then I'm going to name some of the things that I am going through that I know many of you are also going through. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about it. And then we're going to read it again. And I've done this before, so I know it does work, and it should help quite a bit. And then I think for the rest of the week, we all need to say the Serenity Prayer every day. And probably need to continue that as long as we can remember to. All right, let's read the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace, taking as he did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen. For those that aren't familiar with the long version, the normal version it ends with "and the wisdom to know the difference." So it's the first couple sentences. And I know this is very, very important in 12-step programs, but there's a reason why it's in 12-step programs. It's because it works. And I think it can be a very good spiritual practice regardless for why you are using it. It's kind of like the hymn Amazing Grace. I like to hear it in worship. It doesn't necessarily just need to be at a funeral, but having it at the end of a funeral is very helpful. And so here's the thing: this is a very useful tool for us in our spiritual guidance. And so I think we should try to use it. All right, I've decided that we're going to name it generically. Now, the reason for that is because if I go into any details at all about what's happened in the last 2 weeks, it doesn't matter what I say. I might think that my words are yes, yes, and no, no, just like what Jesus told me to do in the Gospel of Matthew. But in such a short video, it's really hard to get the message out in a way that is very clear. So what I'm going to do is we're going to say that a lot of things have changed, especially in the schools. And so one of the things that the change itself causes anxiety. So just think about all of the parents that are now struggling because their kids are now in hybrid or they're now in distance learning. And in some cases, they didn't know anything about this until yesterday. So that is a huge burden. And then let's think about the teachers and all the stuff they're going through. And all the kids. Some of the kids have trouble learning over video. And so that's where we really are. We are having all of these things happen to us that we can't change. And I think that's really what this vlog, I guess, this devotional is all about. It's about naming the things that we can't change. And it's also about accepting the world as it is, which is why I wanted to read the full Serenity Prayer. Because while these burdens might be paths to peace, sin is something that's been around for a long time and it's not going away anytime soon. And sin doesn't necessarily have to be a violation of the Ten Commandments. In some cases, you can follow the entire law and still sin. The Pharisees proved that you could do that. That's how they did things. This is why Jesus said that they had forgotten big parts of the law. They had forgotten that the law was about mercy and justice and faith, and they had completely neglected loving their neighbor. And so here is what I think that we can do. We can't change any of these things, but we can change how we react to them. We can change how we reach out to our neighbor. We can change how we interact with one another, and we can change with how we be with one another. And we can do this through the Serenity Prayer. So let's say the Serenity Prayer again right now. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace, taking as he did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make things right. I surrender to his will. I will be reasonably happy in this life and be supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen. Now, like I said, I think this is a useful exercise. So let's try to do that once. So say the Serenity Prayer in its entirety. Then name the things that you're having troubles with, and read it again. And then from now on, after that, as long as we can remember, let's try to say the short version in the morning. And we'll see how that works for a week. So I thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you guys on Sunday.